Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Jessica did send a email saying that her son was sick and she couldn't make the meeting today. So they just wanted to follow with this. I'm just sending a quick text as so that I can focus on this. Okay. So that other item is to the side. Today's Green Team meeting, Ray and I just wanted to share with the team about the Sustainable Maryland process that we did submit on time for at the end of June to get us back in the Sustainable Maryland program. So Ray, do you want to kind of start talking about it? Because I can open up the page, kind of show, or do you want to show them the page and kind of go through it? But I don't mind providing a quick overview of all the things that we did. It was a lot of work.
Sure, I'll start off with like a brief overview. So,
okay, great.
Was it, I think 2 Fridays ago, we submitted the Sustainable Maryland
application. Yeah, it was due by the 30th.
Yep, June 30th, we submitted the application. And there were just different categories, such as community action, energy, greenhouse gas, transportation, and each different category has different subcategories. Like, for an example, energy, municipal electric vehicles, renewable energy, and we could just submit different things that we're doing around town that relates to being sustainable. And there's different categories where you can get certified, whether that's bronze priority or silver priority, and it's based on the amount of points that you receive. So we submitted the application, and we just have to wait for feedback from the reviewer from Sustainable Maryland, and they'll let us know if they need more information and if we're certified.
And I think there are 3 levels of certification. We're trying to get the bronze or the silver level. I think the bronze are at max silver, and then there's a gold. Sorry, Ray, just wanted to mention
No, you're fine. But that was pretty much it. But now that we've submitted the application, we know for next year things to look out for, things that we could do over the next year to get us up to the silver level. Mayor, I see your hands raised.
Yeah, thanks for the overview, Ray, and just wanted to call out this Sustainable Maryland designation helps us to qualify for special funding, whether it's from the county or the state, or is this the other program?
The other program, you get no money for this one. This is the one that UMD operates. We've already been certified as by Maryland, the opposite. They're both, there's one Sustainable Maryland, there's Maryland Sustainable Communities. We're already a Maryland Sustainable Communities, and that's been certified for the last 5 years. And that's the one that I worked on with Rod and the Port Towns. So we are already in that group.
Thank you, because I always muddle the two. So this is the one through University of Maryland with Mike Honey-Hank and his team.
Right. And that's the reason why we have a green team, because that group mandates that you have a green team. Okay. Are there any other questions? Thank you, Ray. That was a really good thing. I think the one thing that we learned this year, which I think is a learning lesson from both Ray and myself, is that we're going to do more social media posts and more documentation of information, of things that we're doing. So when we're doing our meetings, we also have to provide these. We provide the link to the videos of our meetings, which we already are doing. But as we're doing more actions, we're starting to develop more collateral that you can, because this certification requires a lot of backup information to get certified. It's actually an inordinate, I think, amount of backup to put together for a certification like this. But a lot of other towns do it, and MML recognizes these cities every year.
And one thing that could be helpful, because we have so many community events, is just having a one-pager or a little postcard or even if it's a QR code that people can scan to sign up to be a part, because I feel as though it's tough trying to reach people in the different parts of the community to get them involved. But once they know about things, then they're very happy to participate. So it could help just to have something that at every event of a Bladensburg table, we're sharing these opportunities for people to join.
No, that's what we were thinking, Mara, that we're going to put together QR codes or collateral that actually has the green team on it. So one, we can further get that out to the community at different events because we have so many. And then also make sure that people, it kind of reinforces it. So we have an intern and she's not on right now, but we do have her for 1 month and she's going to be working on some social media pieces that we can then reinforce the green team. That way that she's going to do the kinds of posts that we can use all year long. And then also that reinforcement of that QR code so that we can get people to go to our site and kind of keep some of the things open. So just to try to give you guys that update. But yeah, that's one of our goals is to do more collateral type pieces that kind of show that where we're doing these things.
Yeah, and if it's pointing people to the site, it might even be nice if we could all get together in our green team shirts and do a group photo and post it on there with a message like, please join us, and just list the things that we traditionally have done, like growing green with pride, the cleanups on Dr. King's holiday for National Day of Service, to say, you know, these are things that we've done, but we're open to other ideas. Please join us. That kind of call to action could also help too. And then to your point about documentation, it's a good look that they actually see we're real people, not just names behind AI. And maybe that could be more compelling too for people.
Yeah, we'd like to take some more actual photos of people, like you're saying, in your green team shirts and at the events. And then when we've been taking, Ray does a good job of documenting when we have volunteers. So we're doing both of that a little bit more this year. This year, we're thinking with that in mind. So agree. I think, hey, Ray, we talked about, you want to mention some of the other things that we talked about from that you think that we could probably improve on from the application?
Gotcha. So before I get into that, I know before you got on the show, Mayor mentioned like that we should mention the number of bottles that we gave away, how many bottles that we stopped from going into the river
Yeah,
due to giving out
totally agree.
reusable cups. Yeah, so I thought that was good. But yeah, from the application, they have a lot of different categories that I thought we could do in the future. Like for an example, they give you points for having a cooking class. So maybe in the future we could partner with Eagle City Farms to host a Bladensburg cooking class. I thought that was a good idea. I would like to do in the future. I'm going to give points for municipal electric vehicles, and luckily this year we do have the new charging station, so that was definitely helpful.
Mayor's got her hair on raised, right?
They also give points for public art. So I know next year we've always been talking about implementing some kind of art into town, whether it's a mural or just any kind of art that's in the town of Bladensburg. They definitely give points for that. So looking forward to that in the future. Throughout the year, we host a lot of different green events. So I've included the MLK Day of Service, both Growing Green with Pride events. So I definitely think that's helpful. And we promoted different. We don't have our own community. What's the word? Food market. We don't have our own market, but we've promoted other markets, and you do get points for promoting other markets, such as the Greenbelt one or Cheverly. Let me see. I'm just scrolling down. You get points for having a community garden.
Right, the mayor has got her hand up. I just want to maybe just in case. Mayor, did you want to break in?
Sure, real quick, Ray, for the 5K event, it would be nice if we could have EcoCity do a demo at that event in particular, since it's all about health and wellness and getting people out and active. And then it's far enough away that we could fit it in. I know right now they're kind of busy with both of the farms and classes and all that stuff, but maybe pushing them to say, we really need you to do this as part of that health and wellness event will give them enough time to prepare for it. They've done that before, not the cooking piece, but just like doing a talk on one of our programs before, and they're so good and knowledgeable. So I think you're right, to have an avenue to get them engaged would be really good.
Yeah, they're doing that's part of the second item, is that on the July 19th, they're doing a community day, an Eco Farms Day, and that will have a cooking demonstration. So we're going to try to do that one and put that into our stuff because we're co-sponsoring that with them. And so we will be co-sponsoring that event with them through some of the money that we did with the CSA, because we haven't been as successful with our staff, but we're going to make sure that the community can have access to the CSA. And so that's, so we've co-sponsored it in that way. So we will be able to have that there, but they have a volunteer to do a cooking class. So Mayor, that's easy that they could do it at the 5K. They also would do one here at Town Hall for employees if we wanted to. And I have that cooking demonstration space over at Edmonston, and they would invite both towns there. So we were talking about doing something jointly with Rod at the site where they actually have the cooking demonstration house over there. Do you guys have any other thoughts on things that we could add?
So we also have the culinary arts program at Bladensburg High School, and that would be a great way to bring in the youth with something that's cooking related for the 5K event in particular, just because it's once the kids are back in school and gives us enough time to reach out to find out if there's a way to incorporate them. Even if EcoCity does the majority of it, like maybe they just do some little healthy appetizers or something to help complement things. And again, just to get the youth involved.
Yes.
Thank you for that, Mayor. That's a great suggestion.
I believe from the health and wellness, I think something like a 5K could actually be its own innovative project too, Ray, for it. So we might want to look at
the innovative project section. Yeah, I think that could work.
Yeah.
Oh, and other thing I did want to mention, you also get points for doing a buy local campaign. And I think around I think Small Business Saturday, I think that's in November after Black Friday, I could do a buy local campaign where I encourage residents to buy local that day. So we could make that a big campaign to encourage people to buy at our local businesses and support them.
And there are also months like Black Business Month and Hispanic Business Month that and other, just, from those standpoints, that there are those months that you can actually do. Black Business Month is actually in August, because we did it in Howard County, so that we just highlighted different Black-owned businesses in the community, and that's a local community business. And you could also do it with any business. There's also a local business month, and you can just we can, kind of highlight, but you can do those several times a year as part of the business roundtable. And the business roundtable, Mayor, is already also something that we added to this designation as well, because you've been holding those meetings.
That's
Michelle,
really
do they have
good.
anything for the young people that we can do, even if they have their own businesses? Because I'm thinking about, how Elizabeth Seton has their entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
probably
that's
come in Bladensburg.
You can do youth. That's what I'm saying. If you kind of piggyback on, there's also a youth entrepreneurial month. There's like every month has something. So you could kind of as you wanted to target it, there are all these months that actually exist. So what we can do is we can kind of look that up and provide that to you in general. And then maybe have the green team say, hey, if we wanted to, the town can promote it, but we can also promote it as part of the green team, because that's that local aspect.
Okay, thank you.
So I think
And
that's
then the very quiet but 800-pound gorilla in the virtual room is the community garden, Michelle. It's something we've been wanting to do for a couple years, but as usual, it's the bandwidth, right? Who's got
it's
the
a
time to take
bandwidth.
it on? So I feel like if we could just make it a goal to say in the next 2 years, we want to get to a place where we've got these other initiatives going and working well, we've got more volunteers, and then we can take on a community garden, that would be huge. Because it's hard, when I ride around town and see pockets, I'm like, oh, a garden would be so good right there. And it doesn't have to be food, it could be like flowers. We could just start with that.
Yeah.
And
I
if
know.
we're thoughtful about where we put them, then we could almost like put the onus on residents to say, I'm just going to pick on Councilmember McBride, but just to say, oh, there's a bus stop near the Parkview and those the huge apartment complex. That's a great site, and it's town owned, right of ways. If we plant the flowers, you guys are responsible for the upkeep and tending to it, but it's a small step in making the community look beautiful. So even just starting with something small like that could be a step in that direction until we grow to where we could actually sustain a sizable community garden.
So in some ways, the one thing that we're getting back from American Bloom, so think about the fact that we're doing both of these at the same time. So in the American Bloom process, that is something that the reviewers brought up, because we have the pocket parks that we added some of the edible stuff at the pocket parks, and whether or not we could do a raised bed or we could do something in those areas that we already maintain. Is something that that we're going to look at with them, but like how to improve, like when we are maintaining lots, into, like you're saying, adding a raised bed with, let's say, flowers, or adding a raised bed with edibles that you can, edible flowers, or let's say squash that flowers during that so that it has a dual purpose. So that is a project that we will start to work on in the new year, as we are planning for American Bloom. And the good process about doing them both at the same time, hi Lois, is that we can build on the stuff that we're doing for American Bloom early on, and also then have it ready for our recertification for Sustainable Maryland. But it's heard and received from the standpoint that I sort of knew that, and it was nice to go out with American Bloom and actually go to eco farms and see that we have residents who do have community plots at eco farms, because they do use that backside as community plots. And it's actually, they're not full. That's the other part, is that they're not full. They can actually sustain more community plots there. So there are places, it's just whether or not getting that out to the residents to know that they could have a community plot at eco, because that's part of their mission. That's also why they have that land, is so that the community can use that as a gardening resource, and it has water and access to water, which is the hardest thing about starting a new community garden, is the access to water. So, they actually have they've gone through this fits and starts, and they've actually started up some plots there. So what we can do is also make that more active. If people want to start up their own plot, they can do that up there too. So we can do both.
And I think that's a great idea, because then you get that sense of community. If you're going up there to take care of your plot, you're talking with other neighbors as you work on your section and so forth. And then to your point, I think it is great that the little flower areas can dovetail into our AIB efforts, so that we're documenting that we're continuing with that process and adding flowers. Because the thing that frustrates me is people say beautification and they assume litter pickup. That's not beautification. People should not litter. Beautification is the planting of flowers and trees and doing all these improvements to make your community more beautiful. So yeah, that all sounds good.
Yeah.
And then, speaking of flowers, Steve, I got your picture of the post office. I actually already, in between this meeting, I had already brought in Sean. I actually had talked to Chief Sumner after our last meeting about the post office, about that process. And he was like, he's fine with it as a property owner for us to adopt the front piece, which is what we would be planning as part of the Growing Green with Pride in October, is to redo the planter. But we're also going to work with them on removing the tree again from the front of the place, that our staff and the postmaster, because the fire department is like, it's up to the postmaster. So we're going to work through that with the postmaster and get that going. So it's not that it wasn't forgotten. It was just more the fact there's a couple moving pieces. And I've had a major facility that's had an issue that somebody hit in the last few days. So a lot of my attention over the last week has been shifted to a project that I didn't think I was going to have, a major public works project I didn't think I was going to have a week ago, has now come up on my desk. But we're still working towards that for October and having that sustainable change in October. I just didn't think it made sense to change the flowers right now because it's just so hot, and we're losing so much. And I went out yesterday and personally took some water to a lot of our new trees because they're suffering in this heat. This has been sort of a drought out here. All of our grass is dying. We're trying our best to try to keep everything alive. So I didn't want to take on one more new project until the fall.
Yeah, that planter, brick planter on the front wall there, I noticed weeds grow up there all the time. So I noticed they put white stone gravel there.
Yeah.
I think there's a weed cloth you can put down underneath the gravel to keep the weeds from coming up, or under mulch. And that big bush on the retaining wall is covering the sign of the post office there.
Yeah, that's what we're going to work on first, is to get that back,
Yeah.
to cut that back off of the written wall of the post office.
Yeah, that keeps popping up every year. I wish there was some way we could get rid of it, permanently. I don't know, but it requires getting up on a ladder there. And postmaster there, Layla, I've talked to her about, they had to trim the tree for the flag. It was getting tangled up, and she asked the fire department if they could do it. Well, they were having trouble with the ladder, so she did get the post office to climb up there somehow and do it. But if the fire department could help out with that big bush there, she just has trouble getting people to do stuff there. And so, I appreciate all the work she's done to keep the post office running. She started the passport business there to keep our post office open for income. But yeah, that's one problem, that big bush there.
Yeah, no, we see it, and that's it. So Sean and I were over here talking about it today, and it'll probably be getting done probably early next week. Working with them through that. It's just hot, and the guys are I'm trying to keep them out in the mornings doing stuff, and trying to also make sure that we hit. There's just a lot right now that's maintenance wise that, we've got to address every couple days because of either the heat or when the grass decides to grow, when it gets stuff, we got to cut it back down again. So we're a little strapped right now, but we will get over there. But I did put that on the radar.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So Ray, I think that's what we had. So the Eco Farms event, do you want to give an overview on that?
Sure. Before I do that, I did want to mention two more things. So we also get points for historic preservation. So I did submit the Boswick technical assistance panel that happened back in April. But also you get points if you do a historic area zoning ordinance and then also establish a National Register historic district. So in the future, I guess like the whole downtown Bladensburg area where there's Boswick, Evergreen Cemetery, the Market Master House, and the Magruder House, like all that area could be designated as a historic district.
Well, it's actually being designated as the 1812 district thing that was sort of put aside. That would apply to that, I think, Mayor, right? Yeah, that actually may come about without us even having to do it.
Oh, okay.
That might be something we could, because we are going to be involved in that 18 if it comes back. Battle of 1812. There's a Battle of 1812 historic designation for a lot of the sites within Bladensburg and across the towns, including the dueling grounds and everything. The Peace, I think that, well, the Peace Cross is excluded, right, Mayor? Oh, yeah, she has another call.
And just
I
the
never-
last thing I wanted to, oh, sorry. Last thing I wanted to mention was like possible crosswalk murals or just painting crosswalks as part of like beautification, and then also promotes pedestrian safety if we kind of brighten up the crosswalks with either some colorful murals or just color in general, but just a future community project to think about maybe for next year.
And for that historic district, I never did hear, did they pass it or are they gonna have more meetings or?
I think there are gonna be more meetings, and I think the other thing that overshadowed it, Steve, is whether or not what the designation actually meant. So I know that it was put off until the fall. I don't know if that's coming, if it's coming back or not, but now we're getting into the sequentennial stuff. So I think everybody's sort of now working towards that as well, because the 250th anniversary of the country is gonna, the 250th anniversary of the country is coming up. And there's a lot of like buzz around that now, and education and the whole designation of historic sites for that. So I think the history people have something else to do right now, which is what I'm working on in a different light. And I know the mayor's on the Maryland. She's a representative, I think, of all the municipalities, or the MMO representative on the Maryland side for this, that the governor appointed. But not sure if the 1812 Battle of 1812 stuff or War of 1812 stuff is going to still happen or not.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I remember the mayor wanted to have some meetings with the port towns about the historic district. Let
Yeah.
them know what's going, are they able to do that or?
Well, that was the issue, is that we haven't heard from the state about it, because the issue is whether what they were going to, if a property was designated, does that mean that the property had to stay exactly the same? You know, like the historic context of it.
Yeah.
What was the historic context issues in regards to it? Because some of the places that were designated have features that were built after the War of 1812, but existed in some format in 1812. So there's all the historians and the planners were sort of fighting over those issues, because they are actually very important in regards to some of the planning issues that we have. So that's what they were starting to work out. But the person, I believe Ed Day, started that 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when we were doing all the stuff in 1812 and 2012. And it sat on somebody's desk at the Federal Historic Register for 10 years. And then they decided, oh yeah, we better pass this in like 6 months, and brought it back to everybody. And I think that's the reason why it sort of stopped, because nobody had seen it since 2012. So that was the reason why, that's the reason why it all became that's the reason why it kind of stopped, because nobody remembered from 2012 what this was for. So, that's a long and short of it, if that helps.
Yeah.
We were just forgotten.
Yeah. I forgot stuff from 2012 too. It's been a long time. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things that have happened since 2012.
Yeah.
So but those are what we have for you guys for this month, is the Sustainable Maryland and the event, the event on April 19th. And Ray, you're going to talk about the event on April 19th now?
July 19th.
Yeah, July 19th. Sorry, July.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. So
Wow.
Eco City,
Yeah.
you're fine. You're fine.
Oh gosh.
So Eco City Farms is hosting a Bladensburg Farm Open House on Friday, July 19th, and it's from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at their Bladensburg Farm on Emerson Street. And
Okay.
there'll be free food, a farm tour, and a CSA, which stands for Community
Sustainable
Supported
agriculture. Support agriculture. Yeah, support agriculture. Yep.
Yeah, and they'll do a raffle for people to win food. So yep, that's on July 19th. Mark your calendars.
Okay. And what is it called again, Ray?
Blainsburg Farm Open House. So
Okay.
that's next Friday.
You gonna do a flyer? I mean, are we gonna have a flyer?
Yeah, I'll send it to you, but there's a flyer available on our social media platforms as well. But I'll send it out to
Oh,
everyone.
okay. No, I just go on there. Yeah, that would be neat. See if we can get our residents to probably come. Only around the corner.
Yep. So that's all I had for the Eagle City Farms event. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, if not,
Thank you, Ray. That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm sorry I had to. Every phone I think I have rings every minute now. Like my watch rang, this one rang, my desk phone's rung over like the last couple minutes. So just like I'm trying to not put myself on what's her face mute. Sorry. No, that's everything we've got in the month of August. Do you guys have a preference about maybe taking the month of August off, because we've got after the July event, we can plan for our stuff in September for October, which is Growing Green with Pride. I'm sorry, it's in October, but we can plan in September for October if that works for everyone.
I know it works for me.
I know the council takes a
That's my-
recess in August, and I just wanted to ask if this group would mind taking a recess in August as well.
It sounds good.
Okay. Well, then I'll see everyone in September, and we will have another meeting then. Thanks a lot.
Hey, thank you.
Okay.
thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good one. Bye.